Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Karina, living Lean Six Sigma or living L6S, where I live, breathe, do continuous improvement. Now we're on Airframes Oral and Practical Part 2. Section is called Airframe Inspection. Question: what must the mechanic create or give to the owner or operator of an aircraft if that person is also giving a 100-hour inspection but deems the aircraft to be unairworthy? Answer: a signed and dated list of all the discrepancies that keep the aircraft from being airworthy. Question: where can you find the recommended statement to use for recording the approval or disapproval of an aircraft for return to service after the 100-hour inspection? Answer: 14 CFR 43.13. Question: under what conditions can an aircraft be operated with a 100-hour inspection overdue? Answer: the aircraft can be operated for no more than 10 hours after an inspection is due for the purpose of flying it to a place where the inspection can be performed. Question: for how long can an aircraft be operated if a 100-hour inspection is overdue? Answer: for no more than 10 hours. For no more than 10 hours. Question: under what conditions can an aircraft that is due an annual inspection be operated? Answer: it can only be flown with a special flight permit. Special flight permit that is issued. Question: what certification is required for a mechanic to be able to approve an aircraft for return to service after the 100-hour inspection? Answer: the mechanic has to be certified with their A&P rating, airframe and power plant. Question: what determines whether or not an aircraft must be given a 100-hour inspection? Answer: aircraft that carry persons for hire and aircraft that are used for flight instruction for hire must be given 100-hour inspections. Question: what is the difference between an annual inspection and a 100-hour inspection? Answer: the inspections themselves are identical. An annual inspection can be performed only by an A&P mechanic who holds an inspection authorization or an IA, while the 100-hour inspection can be performed by the A&P mechanic without the IA. So 100-hour is without the IA, the annual is with the IA. Question: what certification is required for a mechanic to conduct an annual inspection and approve the aircraft for return to service after the inspection? Answer: a mechanic with their A&P with an IA rating. Question: does the FAA require that a checklist be used when conducting an annual or 100-hour inspection? Answer: yes. Yes, according to the 14 CFR 43.15 subset Charlie 1. Question: what certification is required for a mechanic to conduct a progressive inspection? Answer: a mechanic certified with an A&P rating and an IA. Question: where can you find the requirements for inspecting the altimeter and static system of an aircraft that are operated under the IFR, Instrument Flight Rules? Answer: 14 CFR Part 43 Appendix E as in Echo. Question: where can you find the requirements for inspecting the ATC transponder that is installed in an aircraft? Answer: 14 CFR Part 43 Appendix F as in Foxtrot. All right, so your airframe inspection practical projects. Number 1, determine from the aircraft records furnished by the examiner whether or not any repetitive airworthiness directives must be complied with on a 100-hour inspection. Next, using the aircraft model and serial number specified by the examiner, determine what airworthiness directive is to apply to the aircraft. And then examine the aircraft maintenance records to determine if all of the applicable ADs have been complied with. Next one, determine from the aircraft records furnished by the examiner, whether the next 100-hour inspection is due, and when the next annual inspection is due. Next, prepare an aircraft for a 100-hour inspection, perform the inspection, make the correct maintenance record entries to show the inspection has been conducted, and then last but not least, describe to the examiner the record entry that must be made when an altimeter system has been inspected in accordance with 14 CFR 91.171. Next section, landing gear systems. Question: what takes up the shock of the landing impact on an oleo shock strut? Answer: the metered transfer of oil from one compartment to another inside the shock strut. Question: what takes up the taxi shocks in an oleo shock strut? Answer: compressed air. Question: how much oil should be put into an oleo shock strut? Answer: deflate the strut completely, remove the filler plug, and fill the strut with oil to the level of the filler plug. So you gotta deflate it, put the oil in, and fill it to the filler plug. Question: what is the purpose of the centering cam in a nose wheel shock strut? Answer: the centering cam forces the nose wheel straight back with the strut before it is retracted into the nose wheel well. Question: how does a shimmy damper keep a nose wheel from shimmying? Answer: it acts as a small hydraulic shock absorber between the piston and the cylinder of the nose wheel shock strut. Question: what is the purpose of the debooster in a hydraulic power brake system? Answer: the debooster decreases the pressure and increases the volume of the fluid going to the brakes. This gives the pilot better control of the brakes. Question: what should be done to hydraulic brakes when the pedal has a spongy feel? Answer: the spongy feel is caused by air in the brakes. The brakes should be bled of this air. Question: what is used in a split wheel to keep the air from leaking between two wheel halves? Answer: an O-ring seal. An O-ring seal. Question: what causes an aircraft tire to wear more on one shoulder or more on the shoulders than in the center of the tread? Answer: operating the tire in a underinflated condition. So it's when it's flatter, it's underinflated, and you're riding the shoulders. Question: what causes an aircraft tire to wear more in the center of the tread than on the shoulders? This is the opposite situation. You're operating the tire in a overinflated condition, so it's kind of pointing and riding the center. Question: what should be done to an aircraft tire if the sidewalls are weather checked enough to expose the cord? Answer: the tire should be scrapped. Just replace the tires. Question: why is it important that some aircraft with retractable landing gear be given a retraction test after new or retreaded tires are installed? Answer: it is possible in some aircraft that the new or retreaded tire can be different enough in size from the previous tire that it could lock up in the wheel well when the landing gear is retracted. Question: how is the correct amount of air in an oleo shock strut determined? Answer: by the amount the shock extends out of the cylinder when the weight of the aircraft is on it. Weight on wheels, okay? Question: what should be done with a tire that was on a wheel which was overheated enough to melt the fusible plug in the wheel? Answer: replace the tire. That tire should be scrapped. Question: where can you find the correct inflation pressure for the tires on an aircraft? Answer: in the aircraft service manual. Question: what is the purpose of the compensator port in the master cylinder of aircraft brakes? Answer: the compensator port in the master cylinder opens the brake reservoir to the wheel cylinders when the brakes are off. I repeat, when the brakes are off. This prevents pressure from building up in the brake lines and causing the brakes to drag. Question: what is the purpose of the shuttle valve in the brake system of an aircraft using hydraulic power brakes? Shuttle valve, hydraulic power brakes. Answer: the shuttle valve is an automatic transfer valve. It allows the brakes to be operated by hydraulic system pressure under all normal conditions. But if this pressure is lost, it allows the brakes to be operated by the emergency backup system. Question: how does the anti-skid brake system keep the wheels of an aircraft from skidding on a wet runway? Answer: the anti-skid system monitors the rate of deceleration of the wheels. If any wheel slows down faster than it should, as it would at the beginning of a skid, the pressure on the brakes in that wheel is released until the wheel stops decelerating, then the pressure is reapplied. All right, landing gear systems, practical projects. Number 1, demount a tire from an aircraft wheel, inspect that tire for wear and the wheel and tire for damage, and then reinstall that tire on the wheel. Next, check an aircraft brake for the condition of the lining and the discs. Next, check the fluid level in an aircraft brake master cylinder. Next, bleed an aircraft brake. Next, check the fluid level in an aircraft oleo strut. Inflate the strut with the correct amount of air or nitrogen. Next, inspect a nosebill shimmy damper and service it with fluid if it is needed. Next, check the main wheels of an aircraft for the proper amount of camber, and toe in or toe out. Next, inspect an aircraft tire and explain to the examiner the conditions that could cause a tire to be unairworthy. Next, replace the seals in the wheel cylinder of a single disc brake. Next, explain to the examiner the correct way to jack an aircraft so a landing gear retraction check can be performed. Next, explain to the examiner the correct way to store aircraft tires. And last, explain to the examiner the way a particular retractable landing gear is prevented from retracting when the weight of the aircraft is on it. Next section, hydraulic and pneumatic power systems. Question: what are the 2 basic types of hydraulic fluid that are used in modern aircraft? Answer: mineral-based fluid and phosphate ester-based fluid. Phosphate ester. Question: what kind of filter is a micronic filter? Answer: a filter with a special paper element. Question: does the main hydraulic pump take its fluid from the bottom of the reservoir or from the standpipe? Answer: the main pump normally takes its fluid from a standard pipe, while the emergency pump takes its fluid from the bottom of the reservoir. If a break in the system should allow the main pump to pump all of its fluid overboard, there will still be enough fluid in the reservoir to allow the emergency system to extend the landing gear and actuate the brakes. Question: why are some hydraulic reservoirs pressurized? Answer: pressurization ensures the fluid will be supplied to the inlet of the pump at high altitudes where there is not enough atmospheric pressure to do this. Question: what is a double action pump? Answer: a pump that delivers fluid with the movement of the pump handle in both directions. Question: Why does most engine-driven hydraulic pumps have a shear section in the drive coupling? Answer: if the pump should seize, the shear section will break, disconnecting the pump from the engine and preventing further damage. Question: what does an unloading valve do in a hydraulic system? Answer: the unloading valve or pressure regulator controls system pressure by shifting the pump outlet fluid from the pressurized system back into the reservoir where the system pressure is high enough. The fluid circulates with very little load on the pump until the system pressure drops to the regular kick-in valve. The pump then forces the fluid into the system until the pressure builds back up to the regulator kick-out valve. The pump then forces the fluid into the system until the pressure builds back up to the regulator kick-out valve. Question: what is the purpose of an accumulator in an aircraft hydraulic system? Answer: the accumulator holds the pressure on the hydraulic fluid in the system. The pressure is held by compressed air or nitrogen acting on the fluid through a bladder, a diaphragm, or a piston. Question: what is the purpose of an orifice check valve in an aircraft hydraulic system? Answer: an orifice check valve allows flow in one direction through the valve, but restricts the flow in the opposite direction. Question: where are line disconnect fittings normally located in an aircraft hydraulic system? Answer: normally in the lines that connect the engine-driven pump to the aircraft hydraulic system. Question: what is meant by a single-action hydraulic actuating cylinder? Answer: a linear actuating cylinder that uses hydraulic fluid under the pressure to move the piston in only one direction. The piston is returned by a spring. Question: what is the source of the compressed air that is used in a medium pressure pneumatic system on a turbine engine powered aircraft? Answer: the air is normally bled from one of the stages of the engine compressor. Question: what kind of device is used to control the speed of movement of the piston in a pneumatic actuator? Answer: a variable orifice. This is a trick question. Question: why do most high pressure pneumatic systems include a moisture separator? Answer: when the pressure of the stored air is reduced to the valve that is needed in the system, the temperature drops enough to freeze any water that is in the air. The moisture separator removes this water before it can freeze and block the system. Question: what is the difference between an open center selector valve and a closed center selector valve? Answer: open center selector valves are installed in series with each other. Open center series. And the hydraulic fluid flows through their center when no component is being actuated. The valves act as a pump unloading valve. Okay. A closed center selector valve are installed in parallel with each other. They direct fluid under pressure to one side of the actuator and fluid from another side of the actuator to the system return manifold. In their off position, they trap fluid in the lines between the valve and the actuator. Question: what is used to flush a hydraulic system that uses Skydrol hydraulic fluid? Answer: trichloroethylene. Trichloroethylene. Question: what is used to flush a hydraulic system that uses mineral-based hydraulic fluid? Answer: naphtha, Varsol, or soldered solvent. Question: where can you find the type of hydraulic fluid that is required for a particular aircraft? Answer: in the maintenance manual for the aircraft. This information is also on a placard on the system reservoir. Question: what is used to remove phosphate ester-based hydraulic fluid from aircraft tires? Answer: soap and water. Question: what must be done to the lines that are disconnected when servicing an aircraft hydraulic system? Answer: they must be capped with the correct fluid line cap or plug. Masking tape or other types of adhesive tape should never be used. Question: what are 2 ways aircraft hydraulic reservoirs may be pressurized? Answer: by an aspirator in the fluid return line or by bleed air from one of the engine compressors. Question: why do some hydraulic pressure gauges have a snubber installed between them and the hydraulic pump? Answer: the snubber keeps the gauges from fluctuating. All right, practical projects for hydraulic and pneumatic power systems. Number 1, measure the air preload in an accumulator. Number 2, charge an accumulator with the correct amount of air or nitrogen. 3, determine the correct type of hydraulic fluid that is required by a particular aircraft and check the system for correct amount of fluid. Next, explain to the examiner the correct sequence for adjusting the pressure relief valve in an aircraft hydraulic system. Next, inspect a hydraulic system filter and service it according to the instructions of the aircraft manufacturer. Next, identify the type of hydraulic fluid by its color. Explain to the examiner the appearance of the contaminated fluid. Next, using a selection of seals furnished by the examiner, identify the seals that are one-way and those that are seals in both directions. Next, properly install an O-ring seal and backup ring in the cylinder of a hydraulic or pneumatic actuator. Next, service the emergency air bottle in an aircraft brake system with the correct amount of air or nitrogen. Next, remove and replace an actuating cylinder in an aircraft system. Purge the air from the system after the cylinder is reinstalled. Next, explain to the examiner the action of an aircraft hydraulic system when the accumulator has no air preload. Next, explain to the examiner the correct way to stop a leak at an MS flareless fitting. And last, adjust the pressure at which a hydraulic pressure relief valve relieves pressure. Next section, cabin atmosphere control systems. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna wait for part 3.